So Cyberpunk, right? So I suppose I'm gonna like round out our last like I guess 9 minutes now. God, I'm just doing like the pirate software thing, aren't I? Damn. Ah, whatever. I'm very passionate about this, so I don't give a shit. I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay, so I'm writing with a mouse by the way. So Cyberpunk. So like the name is like there, like cyberpunk. So it's something that is vaguely cyber related, so like technology, like internet, something, whatever, and punk, individualism, resisting authority, etc., etc., etc. Your traditional cyberpunk is resisting corporations and shit like that. But there's also cyberpunk that's resisting of governments. My Something that like concerns me is that like cyberpunk has kind of become a an aesthetic lately, and that's really, really annoying. It implies that steampunk is just saying something. I mean, it should be. Steampunk has this exact same issue. Let me get to it. Cyberpunk has become an aesthetic, which is like really unfortunate because I saw steampunk go through this a while ago, where like used to be steampunk was like it was like Victorian era, like steam technology and resisting the level of like um what's the not like the oppression and inequality that like came with that like kind of vibe, right? But like now, you think of steampunk as like, oh, there's a top hat, and then you put like a gear on it. It's like a really shitty gear, but like put a gear on it. Ah, now it's steampunk, right? Like steampunk has just become like an aesthetic, and it's awful. Same thing like with same thing with cyberpunk lately, and that's really unfortunate. It's like, oh, it's a gun. I put and then like I put neon lights on the gun. Oh, now it's cyberpunk. Like it's like brr. Flanderization. Yeah, like the whole thing with cyberpunk and the thing that like cyberpunk should always be is that cyberpunk should always be something where you are resisting. You are resisting something, whether it be a government or like a corporation or anything really. It's not like I am not Live the Cyberdoll because I slapped a fucking like cybernetic left arm on. No. My cyberpunk setting that I have been coming up with like for about as long as I've had like Live the Cyberdoll as an idea, as a concept in my head, is not just because ooh, shiny neon lights. The tabletop system that I'm developing is not just cyberpunk because it's furries with cybernetics. No, there is explicit stuff there. Like, even CD Projekt, the corporations are the governments here. Exactly, Raz. Yeah, like there's like there are a lot of things where these corporations become the government, and the worst part is like that's not even something that I'm against because it's like that's kind of happening in real life too. So CDPR, I have issues with, right? CDPR, I have issues with their ideas of cyberpunk. It's because they missed the point of the specific universe that they were in my opinion. Um, and then you've got Cyberpunk 2020, right? So, in Cyberpunk 2077, yeah, no, exactly, Raz got it right, yeah. Like, 2077 is like, it's Baby's first intro campaign, and things are way too black and white, right? Like, Arasaka evil. Ara equal evil. Evil. Sad face. And then you've got fucking Militech. Good. Like, that's kind of what it breaks down to. Because and by the way, before you say that like this is wrong, by the standards of the universe, yes, this is accurate to the fucking game, and it's really annoying. So fucking in Cyberpunk 2077, every time you interact with Arasaka, it is evil. It is negative. It is Arasaka are bastards and they are going to make your life worse and they ruin everything they touch. To the point where they are absolutely fucking incompetent and they make life harder for themselves. It's ridiculous. Versus almost every single interaction with Militech you have, they're on the level, they offer you something and then they give it to you and then it's like, hey, yeah, yo, blah 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 blah. Right? But, like, the reality of it is that, like, in Cyberpunk 2020, Arasaka doesn't care. And neither does Militech. Neither of them give a shit, and nor do any of the other corporations. Like, if they can benefit from shooting you in the head and leaving you in the dirt, they will. If they benefit from giving you a contract and, like, honoring that contract through to the end, they will. The best video games they just the TPR setting is best stuff with the HPS Shadowrun. I don't even like Shadowrun, and I agree. I don't even like Shadowrun, and I agree with you, Raz. Holy shit. Like, and, like, that's kind of the thing. Cyberpunk has become an aesthetic. It is gritty near future with cybernetics and evil corporation. And then sometimes there is good corporation. But in reality, like, no, like, none of the corporations give a shit about you. You are a cog to be used and discarded. Oh yeah, and also neon lights. Like, it is honestly kind of embarrassing, like, how some people miss the point of Cyberpunk as a setting. Not Cyberpunk Capital, but Cyberpunk, like, just the idea. So, like, Blade Runner, Neuromancer, fucking Mike Pondsmith's 2077, Shadowrun. It's really confusing when there's a setting that shares the name with the genre. That's really frustrating, but oh well. High fantasy is more than just you have a sword, right? It's like high fantasy is very specific. There's magic everywhere. There's like elves and dwarves and shit walking all over. There's like explicit things. It's not just an aesthetic. There are rules that must be followed if you're going to use this kind of vibe. Right? You can't just, like, slap an elf on the cover and say, now it's high fantasy. No. No, you can't do that. Same as you can't just slap neon lights on something and call it cyberpunk. You can have cyberpunk stuff that's set, like, in the distant future with, like, space travel and stuff. You can have, like, cyberpunk that's set, like, not even on Earth. So long as you have the idea that there is something that needs to be resisted, whether that thing is, like, to blame for the cybernetics, or it is just something that came about because of the cybernetics, it doesn't matter. You live in this world where this technology exists, and there is something that is trying to make your life worse and everyone else's life worse. You're not going to overthrow that fucking thing. You're not going to overthrow it. It is something that's taken over the entire world. If you overthrow it, that's not cyberpunk. Your job is to resist and survive. Every day you survive is a win. Are there some cyberpunk stories where the overarching evil thing is overthrown? Yes, but those are the exception, not the rule. And even then, like, you could argue that they don't fall within cyberpunk. Or at the very least, they are very, very late game cyberpunk, where, like, everything has risen up against the thing you're resisting. But that's the thing. Like, for the most part in cyberpunk stories, the goal is not overthrow the big evil. The goal is to survive. It is to resist. It is to fucking not give in and be a corporate drone. It is to live free on the edge and fucking just not give in to the fucking corporations or government or whatever the fuck is trying to, like, make your life worse. And that very much feels like it has just been stripped away and turned into a marketable aesthetic, like, ironically enough. Which happened to steampunk, it happened to dieselpunk, and it's happening to goddamn every kind of punk there is, and it's so frustrating. Exactly, Raz. Yeah, the evil is too big and too ingrained that one person or even a handful of people cannot take it down. It requires an army to do so. And even then, that evil will still be there. It's just waiting for its chance to take back its reins. There is an argument to be said that, like, you absolutely need to have that aspect in cyberpunk. Otherwise, you just have a glittering near future where things just kind of suck and people are okay with it. And I am so tired of my favorite setting and my favorite type of story being turned into a goddamn aesthetic. And it's why, like, I really want to work on my tabletop setting, on my tabletop rule set, where this stuff, this genre of fiction that I absolutely love, I can turn it into something that I can share with people, and I can show like how not how it's supposed to be. I don't want to be like that conceited, but like I can show that Cyberpunk has something important to say, and it's something that will never ever ever be like never ever be like not worth talking about. Because if you look at our world, like, I mean, fuck, dude, like look at what's going on. People's human rights are being taken away, but so long as they can outlast the attention span of your average TikTok user, no one cares. Like, fuck, dude. That's insane. You've got influencers rising, growing, shrinking, dying, fucking people who come to popularity and then have a scandal and then disappear into the ether. You have and like you've got people defending them. Dr. Disrespect freaking is a child diddler, and like so many people are coming to his defense on Twitter. It's sickening. And that's the exact same thing that you would see in a cyberpunk setting. This person did disgusting things, but he provides brainless entertainment. Therefore, I'm fine with it. Like, that is straight up something that you would see in Cyberpunk in 2020. Like, it's gross. And the fact that, like, a tabletop game that was written in 1989, 6 years before I was born, is more accurate to today than anything is disgusting. Holy shit. You never want to live in a cyberpunk world. You want to live in a world that has the cyberpunk conveniences, yes. Like, you want, like, prosthetics and cybernetics and things that make life easier and better. But you, by God, you do not want to live in a world that has the societal problems that a cyberpunk world has. And the more that we turn cyberpunk into just an aesthetic, I feel like the more people will forget that. And we'll start moving more and more and more into a world that is more like cyberpunk, where corporations take over the government, or the government is just like, okay, like Deus Ex is cyberpunk, but corporations are not the problem. The government is. Like, that's valid, but you're still resisting. This is the operative word. It doesn't matter what you're resisting, so long as it is something in power that is making life for everyone awful. And so long as you're resisting it in whatever way you can by surviving and trying to not fall into the horrid nightmare as you can, that means you're winning. I'm talking about original Deus Ex, Fabs, not the new one. The new one, I don't know. I don't know if that qualifies. The new one really does fall into the aesthetic, it feels like, more often than not. But that's whatever. Like, yeah, whether it's the government, corporations, or both. Like, you can't let, like, seriously, we can't let, like, this stuff just... You can't let this stuff just become real, you know? Like, yes, we should strive for the conveniences of a cyberpunk world, like, easily accessible healthcare, fucking cybernetic limbs, like, things that, like, make people's lives easier and better and more convenient. But at the same time, you can't fall into the societal ills. That's what cyberpunk is. It's basically saying, hey, all of these things that are useful and good, like, that make your life better, don't sell your soul for them. Strive for them, but make sure you keep your soul while you're doing it. Okay, big dumb gay dog is done talking now. I'm gonna go eat food. Bye-bye, everybody. Hooray! Bye-bye!